Just talking a little bit more about the chemistry between these two. I mean, we've been talking about this charm offensive that Kim Jong Un displayed with Moon Jae-in. Are we likely to see some type of rapport like that?
I think both leaders have a very strong investment in a successful meeting. So I expect the meeting to be very friendly. And I think both leaders will announce that it's been a successful meeting in terms of agreeing on the broad outlines of denuclearization on a peaceful and prosperous Korean peninsula.
Talking about policy here, a lot of people have said that Trump has already gone too far to get Kim Jong Un and North Korea to come to the table. If there was something, going down that route, if there was something that Donald Trump should not have done getting here, what is that?
So I think President Trump is interested in starting a process of negotiation. The summit will have a very general agreement on ultimate objectives: North Korea giving up nuclear weapons, establishing peace on the Korean Peninsula, normalizing relations between Pyongyang and Washington. But I doubt the summit communique will have any details on timetable, reciprocity, phasing, verification. All these tough issues will have to be negotiated after the summit, and that's likely to take months or even years to negotiate. What I'll be looking for is any indication of a time frame. The North Koreans, I think, would be quite happy to stretch out these negotiations as long as possible. The U.S. would like to have them concluded within 6 months or a year while the sanctions are still in place. And whether or not the North Koreans will agree to that, I think will be one of the key questions to look at in the communique. I'm afraid that President Trump's enthusiasm for having this meeting without any conditions may have weakened our bargaining leverage. But the real test will be after the summit, when the two sides set up a serious negotiation.
I want to pose a question to Dr. Samore, because he did negotiate with the North Koreans in the Clinton administration. He was also involved in nuclear talks around the world under the Obama administration. And Dr. Samore, you had argued that basically coercive diplomacy, the combination of sanctions and negotiations, hasn't worked. Why has it worked this time? Is it the style of President Trump?
The North Koreans often make promises about denuclearization, and they've even agreed in the past to limit their nuclear and missile activities. Whether they will do so again this time, I think we'll have to see. I do believe Kim Jong Un is interested in sanctions relief and economic assistance and cooperation, so I think he may be willing to agree to further limits on his nuclear and missile program beyond the current moratorium on testing. And for the U.S. side, that will start with a declaration, a full and accurate declaration of North Korea's nuclear and missile stockpile and production facilities, and then steps to actually freeze those facilities. That will be very important as early concrete steps that will indicate North Korea's seriousness about taking measures to limit their program. On the U.S. side, we'll have to decide what we're prepared to do for North Korea in return to those initial steps. And so far, the administration has not indicated any willingness for sanctions relief or economic assistance short of full denuclearization. But frankly, that's not a realistic position. So in the course of these upcoming negotiations, Washington will have to come up with a strategy that can at least achieve some initial steps.
Right. Now, you and I talked in Seoul ahead of the big meeting between Moon Jae-in and Kim Jong Un at the DMZ, and you had told me that you have met North Korean negotiators multiple times outside of North Korea. You have a pretty good read on how they do negotiate. Do you see changes? I know you're not involved in the negotiations now, but do you see a change in the tact coming from North Korea? We've talked a lot about Kim Jong Un's charm offensive. We also heard about a week and a half or so ago that he's removed 3 of his hardline generals. Perhaps he wants new counsel on how to move the economy and the path for North Korea forward. Do you see changes, or is it the same old North Korea?
So I think in terms of style, Kim Jong Un is much more effective than his father, seems to be much more comfortable in terms of public settings. And I thought in particular we saw that charm in the meeting with South Korean President Moon Jae-in. That's why I'm quite confident that Kim Jong Un will be all smiles and handshakes and hugs with President Trump. He knows how to do that very effectively. In terms of substance, however, I haven't really seen any fundamental change in the North Korean strategy, which is to promise a lot and do a little bit and try to get some economic rewards in exchange for those small steps.